the students to back down to some degree, but I don't think they'll ever give up their commitment to freedom.
Do you ever wonder how you would handle the China crisis?
I think President Bush has handled this particular problem in China in a very balanced way by withdrawing the sale of military equipment to China, joining with Great Britain and other nations to do the same, sending clear verbal warnings to the Chinese to restrain themselves, the Chinese leadership, but refusing very wisely to withdraw our ambassador from China and to break diplomatic relations with China. We need to keep our embassy open and keep there the spirit of freedom and democracy that our nation exemplifies. So I think he's handled it very well.
Can the presidency at times be a little bit overwhelming and maybe even scary?
Not scary. I never was afraid. I never did lose any sleep at night, even in the most intense concentrations of crisis. And I was always able to find an opportunity to relax. It's been part of my nature. I grew up in the out of doors. And one of the greatest things we ever did in dealing with the press, we had 1,200 White House press representatives, as you know, who watched me with telescopes and who listened in on radio frequencies of the Secret Service. But one thing that we did successfully during all that time was to go to Camp David, get out of a helicopter. All the press would go back to Maryland to the motels to have a good time that weekend. And I would change clothes, get back on the helicopter, fly to Pennsylvania, land alongside a beautiful little trout stream called Spruce Creek. Rose and I would fish for a couple of days, get back on the helicopter, fly to Camp David, change clothes, meet the press, and go back to Washington. And they never knew it.
In those quiet moments in North Georgia when you're hearing the stream outside your home and hearing the winds go through the trees, do you ever hear Sam Donaldson's voice?
No, thank goodness. As a matter of fact, Sam was one of my favorites because he was so brash and loud. And I claim Sam's success came from his following me to the presidential election. But it's a great relief not only on Turniptown Creek in North Georgia, but also in Plains, Georgia, not to hear voices like his shouting all the time.
In his book, An Outdoor Journal, President Carter speaks of another kind of shooting, the kind that saved both Rosalind and Amy's life.
That must have been a terrible
This was about
experience.
a month before Rosalind had Amy. 21 years ago, as a matter of fact. I had built a small pond, a new one, and there were otters in there eating the fish. So I had a .22 rifle, and I had shot at the otters. And I was walking around the pond about 20 yards ahead of Rose, and I heard her scream. I turned around, and she was backed up against a bank of very vicious swamp blackberry vines. She couldn't go any further, and this enormous water moccasin was going straight toward Rosalind. I couldn't get to the snake, didn't have anything to hit it with, so I took the .22 rifle and shot and hit the snake in its back, and I guess maybe broke its back. And it was still thrashing around, getting closer and closer to Rosalind. So I had time for one more shot, and luckily hit the snake and in the head and killed it. And it died right there at my wife's feet.
You scarred your face up pretty badly trying to escape the White House press corps one time, didn't you?
Well, we did some downhill, we did really some cross-country skiing at Camp David. And nowadays, Rose and I do downhill skiing primarily. But shortly before, I had to make a major address on nuclear arms control. On Sunday afternoon, I was doing some cross-country skiing on a steep downhill slope, and I fell. And the ice on top of the snow slashed my face into ribbons. It was really a terrible, I think blood spurted out all over the snow. And so the doctor dressed my face with alum, like they do with prize fighters, to control the bleeding. And then the next day, a makeup artist came to the White House and put heavy makeup on my face, so I was able to go and make my speech. I had a hard time smiling because the makeup was cracking.